Hi, I'm Irene Wong. I'm a ballroom dancer for 14 years. I'm also a co-owner for a costume business called Dancewear Works. In this ballroom journey, I've met so many people, and I really believe that everyone can ballroom. So I'm going to interview a lot of different people to share their story. Hopefully, you'll be inspired by them and see that maybe you can ballroom too.
Hi, I'm Irene Wong, and today I'm so delighted to a special guest, Sara Cauley, and to be our guest. And we talk about everyone can ballroom, and she really demonstrated. Sara, introduce us to us who you are.
Hi, I am Sara Cauley. I'm 40 years old. I'm going to be 41 on Tuesday. And I am, yes, thank you. I work in the office at Colorado Dance Sport, which happens to be my home ballroom studio. So not only do I dance, but I make sure everything else can run for all the teachers and students.
That's wonderful. So your story really inspires me, and why I introduce you, I want to invite you, is that you actually have some challenges in your physical and whatever.
I do.
So
yes,
tell us
I was born 3 months premature, and because of that, my lungs were not ready to support my body, and I had lack of oxygen to the brain for several minutes after birth. And because of that, that caused me to have cerebral palsy. I have the spastic version. There are two main versions of cerebral palsy. One where you have no muscle tone at all, and you're kind of like floppy a little bit. I don't know how else to really tell you what that one is like. So it's really hard. You don't have any control over your muscles. I have the more common version, which is spastic, which means my muscles are always tight no matter what. My brain is always firing and my nervous system is always on. So I never get a break, actually. And typically people are affected in all four limbs or two. So it can be all four, or your legs, or your just your arms, but I'm a little more different. I have 3 out of 4 limbs. So I have one fully functioning hand and arm, and then I'm affected all the way throughout my body after that. So
yeah, so the one thing that I really am amazed that you are actually, with this physical challenges, you are still in the ballroom dance world. So tell us how you started your ballroom journey.
Oh goodness, I always loved dancing as a little girl. I think everyone loves ballet or Cinderella and the Disney movie, watching her dance with the prince. But having physical challenges, graceful and cerebral palsy were never two words that fit together in the same sentence. So, and then when I got older, in junior high, I would watch America's Ballroom Challenge on PBS with my grandma. And I would just see how beautiful their sparkly dresses were, and I'm like, oh, they're so beautiful and so graceful. But I mean, that was something that I watched as a little girl and never thought it was going to be something that I wanted to do. And one day after work, I came home early and I saw a news program on the local news here in Denver about a blind ballroom dancer. I was like, well, that's really interesting. He was competing and taking lessons. I was like, well, he can't see, but he does have all of his limbs in function of that. I'm like, I wonder if they would, try with me. And so I called them up on the telephone and I explained shortly who I was. And they're like, well, you can come on in for the intro special and we'll see if this works out. If it doesn't, we can both part ways and say that we tried, and I made an appointment to go for my first lesson, but I was so incredibly nervous that I canceled the day before, and I waited 6 months to actually go for my first lesson, and I went the night before my 29th birthday for my very first lesson. So on Monday, September 27th, it will be 12 years since I stepped into the ballroom studio for the very first time. And I was introduced, met this young man. I told him my name and I told him that I had some challenges, but my dream was to waltz. And so he said, Miss Cauley, would you care to dance? And we walked on the dance floor, and I didn't learn how to waltz for a really long time, to be honest. Even to learn the rumba box step, and that's what we started with, took me 10 hours of dancing lessons to figure that out. It was so difficult, and I could not place my one hand in his. He would actually have to open it up for him to be able to hold it. So it took a really long time. And I told him that I didn't, waltzing was my goal. I didn't want to perform. I didn't know anything about competing. That wasn't my goal. I didn't want to do it in front of people. I just wanted to learn something. And I started in September, and I think around the middle of October, he mentioned that they have a studio showcase every year in February. And that was not even 6 months away. He's like, would you like to do a routine? I'm like, you mean in front of people? No. But so there I was 5 months later on Valentine's Day weekend doing a tango in front of 200 people. And
oh my God, that's
yeah.
so
And so he's like, how about competing? I'm like, well, the Colorado Star Ball was in June, and this is right after the showcase. I said, how about a year from now? I can get ready. But there I was, June, a few months later, doing my first competition. And so don't say that you don't want to do something, because you kind of end up doing it sometimes. So I never thought I would enjoy that aspect of it. And I do talk to people every day for my job, and I love it. But truthfully, I really enjoy time alone too. So I didn't think I wanted to be in a crowd full of people, but something happens when I step on the floor, whether it's to compete or perform. I can never leave my cerebral palsy there. It always comes with me, but there's something inside that either turns on or turns off, and I become something else on the floor, and I forget that people are looking at me, and it's one of the very few times in life that I'm able to do that.
You touch me so much. Every single time I talk to you, even though I heard the story sometime before, I'm still like fearful of you. So you truly, touch my heart as, someone to take, chance and willing to try something new. So, in this journey, share with us, what have you learned, or some of the best and worst experience with us? You do mind?
I think I've had more good than bad, thankfully. It's been a great thing. Best experiences. I've had a couple performances that have meant a lot. Sometimes it's not even at a comp. I've had the opportunity to, a long time ago, fly to Chicago for a medical research study on dance and people with cerebral palsy. So I was the test subject, but we also got to, the doctor doing the research had her own ballet class of little children with cerebral palsy. And so we went there twice, me and my coach, and we got the opportunity to be a part of their dance class. So I became the teacher. I would teach the class, and Mitch would help the kids that had more of the physical struggles. And that, to me, is probably just as meaningful as any show number or competition ever, because it's giving back to the next generation, or after me, and so I think if I would have had more people to look up to being younger that were challenged doing something that I wanted to do, and I have people in my life that have inspired me dancing, but they didn't have physical challenges, but to give back to them is just, it was amazing. And I mean, I've had my times on the competition floor that are just speechless. I in 2016, I went to USDC.
Oh, wow.
And that was a bucket list of mine to do. And when I go into competition, whether it's the regular single dancing or the showpiece, I don't go in expecting to receive high marks, because I do know the reality that I physically cannot always accomplish what required.
I give you high mark already, from me, from my heart.
To make that first place. And I have gotten first places, and those are amazing, but I don't do it because of that. I do it because I do it because I love it. And I hope that when I'm somewhere else, that people see that anything is possible. Maybe not all the time will everything go perfect or work out. Maybe sometimes it won't, whether a certain dance step or something goes wrong. It's okay, because life is not perfect. It's a, and I think you've probably heard the saying, life is not about how many breaths you breathe, but the moments that take your breath away. And so if I can display that, and I tell people, when I want people to see when I leave the dance floor, that I have left my heart on the floor for them to see, and that I've done my job, whether I placed last or placed first.
That is so amazing. So thank you so much for it. It's really, really touching. I keep getting emotional for it. So for you, what can you say that through the dance journey, what is the things you learn or take away from it, or you have something that you share with others? What will you say?
Well, my journey is never complete. I still struggle with the same physical things and head things. As we all know, dancing is just not a physical thing, that I struggled with from day one, and it's funny, because I still want to lead sometimes. And I still, because my life has to be kind of planned out for it to work in general, I kind of take that to dancing. I'm like, okay, I know a choreography routine. I know what's coming next. And I'm so focused on that sometimes my coach will be like, he'll throw something else in there, because he's like, I need you to pay attention to me, not what you think is going to happen. So just still learning to be a humble follower.
That's what I'm learning as well. It's so hard, right?
And you think after 12 years I would kind of get that, but
it's still hard. Trust me, it's still hard. Especially I was from IT, always go charging and trying to do my own thing.
Yeah,
this is amazing. So learning to adopt and then understand what is things to go with the flow is so important. So for the people that out there have not knowing dancing, ballroom dancing at all, what would you say to them?
I would say, before you make any judgment, give it a try. And some people do not. It's not for everyone, but it may look intimidating or nerve-wracking, because we're not always in makeup and beautiful costumes. That's like 5% of the time or 10% of the time. Usually, you come from work or school or however your life is, and it's about doing something 30 times before you get it right. It's not about like, I don't show up to my dance lesson in my dance dress, it's about learning each part of the choreography or the steps, because that's really what life is. It's not kind of the end result of the performance. It's the small pieces that go into it to make it beautiful.
Thank you. That is exactly what I see ballroom, why I'm passionate about it. It's more than just the simple result, is the process. It's almost to me is life learning experience. So through the dancing journey.
Yeah, it's probably even like, especially when you do a performance or even a single dance, it's the doing the dance, it's performing. It's not even about where you place, because you've worked so hard, and then to be able to show that to the floor is really the prize in itself.
Yes. Thank you so, so much, Sarah. And I'm so grateful you told me that you took you an hour because you can only use one hand to do your makeup and be ready for the interview. So do you know how, a lot of us take it for granted. For me, it takes me 5-10 minutes. I can just do simple makeup. But how, difficult for you, just do a simple makeup, it take an hour because you can only use one hand, put on the clothes and things like that. And then you can do dance and you can do this. And I believe everyone can do anything. You truly demonstrate that.
And I didn't mention I've won the solo category at the Snowball 2 years in a row. And I that's a huge accomplishment. I have never expected to place that, but it's something I'm really proud of. So.
Because as you mentioned to me earlier, you work hard. You work 3 times than normally people can work. So you truly demonstrated if you have a mind, you have a goal, you can do anything, anyone.
Yes, you can. Yes. And I need to mention my coach, if I don't. He has been the driving force of this partnership.
What's his name?
Mitch Keibel. And without him and without Robert and Harmony, who own Colorado Dance Sport, they all said yes to me when other people have said no. And so they have changed my life more than they will ever know. And I want to let everyone know that. So if you're ever in Denver, look us up, give me a call, and we can schedule a dance lesson.
Yes, I will. I get to know Mitch, and I really enjoyed his such a good person. So we'll keep going, keep on dancing, and I'm looking forward to see you on the dance floor, and maybe we can dance on the dance floor together.
That would be amazing.
Thank you so much.
I hope you like the story being shared. Maybe you or some of your friends are similar to the people that in the story, and you can give ballroom dancing a try. You never know where it takes you. So if you like what I'm doing, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel or share to the people may be interested. Keep on dancing.